Right on the Gulf at Jumeirah Beach in oil-rich Dubai, filthy rich in fact, there's this mosque. On the face of it, it's an impressive, maybe grander version of plenty of mosques you'll see in this part of the world. For 5 days each week, with the unmistakable call to prayer, it operates normally, and on Fridays a special sermon from the Imam. But for the other 2 days of the week, on Thursdays and Sundays at 10, between the usual morning and lunchtime prayers, this beautiful sandstone building transmogrifies into a bold attempt to form a bridge, a conduit between the Islamic and non-Islamic worlds, between us and them. The instigators call their Outside the Square initiative Open Doors, Open Minds. And in very down-to-earth terms, it's aimed at precisely that, opening its doors to non-Muslims who are prepared to open their minds.
Can everyone come closer, please? Not too close.
Great idea, but how does it work?
Okay.
Well, in short, it means that on 2 days every
Good morning,
week,
everybody.
Christians, Jews, Calathumpians, name your race, colour or religion, are freely admitted into the mosque,
Walk over there.
something that's usually taboo to non-Muslims. So it's quite breakthrough stuff.
The hands 3 times. The mouth 3 times.
The program's run by an Emirati Muslim contact of yours truly,
It's refreshing.
Abdullah bin Sirkal, a Dubai businessman who dabbles very successfully in property and real estate. And around here there's plenty of both. What Abdullah's curious non-Muslim observers get amounts to a crash course in Islam, including the pre-prayer cleansing and his usually very private Mecca-directed praying itself. Then they're subjected to a pretty painless lecture from Abdullah on Islam's 5 pillars. That there's no God but Allah,
You call him Allah, you call him God, you call him Elohim, as long as
praying 5 times a day, the obligatory Muslim charity, the once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage to Mecca,
used to be a month traveling in the old days. Nowadays it's about 6 hours drive in a good car.
and the pillar that intrigues so many non-Muslims. All that fasting during the month of Ramadan, including, as Abdullah puts it, the husband and wife thing.
You can marry up to 4, but you have to be equal and fair. I'm translating the verse to you.
That done, there's a chatty Q&A where no questions out of order. From why no women in the Grand Mosque,
Me personally, I wouldn't have a concentration if a nice woman's skin is touching my arm. Would you? Would you? Okay, he's honest.
to how many wives does he, Abdullah, have? He's got 2, by the way.
And a Lebanese restaurant is not a local restaurant. Thank you so much.
Abdullah's got one of the sharpest and appropriately most open minds of any devout Muslim I've ever met. But here at his open mosque, I really wanted to catch up with this erudite, modern, moderate Muslim on more immediately pressing Islamic matters. Like, how should we be reacting to Hamas's victory in the occupied territories?
I think I'll just use President Clinton's words. He said, definitely none of us wanted Hamas to be in the government. But if it's good for the people, it will have to be good for us. And we have to deal with it. Remember, they were the ones who stood up for the people. They were the ones who are the patriots. They're known for being sincere people, clean.
Not corrupt.
Not corrupt.
Were you shocked?
I was, of course, in shock. I was expecting them to be the majority of the opposition.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe sharing. But the people punished the others who were corrupt.
as a lot of people in Israel and in Washington are saying, that this means the end of the peace process in the Middle East because Hamas are committed to violence. They've been responsible for suicide bombings. They are still committed to the destruction of the State of Israel. Do you think that it means...
Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
Okay. The truth is, when it comes to hardline, they did not negotiate at all when it comes to the Palestinians' rights. When Israel was bombing them, they retaliated.
Are they terrorists? Do you regard Hamas as a moderate Muslim, which I know you are? Do you regard Hamas as terrorists?
Honestly, no.
But what about the violence?
I'm not with Hamas. I'm not defending them now. I'm just explaining. Defending your country and your land, the right that is given to you by every religion, right? And we all share it in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Whenever someone defends his country, for whatever reasons, right? He has the right to defend and die for his country, or his family, or his money, right? You have to defend.
But what about killing innocent Israelis?
That's the line. That's there.
So you think that Hamas, it's a fine line between being a resistance fighter and a terrorist?
Yes, okay.
But you don't condone the killing of innocent Israeli people by Hamas?
No, I'm against killing the innocent people, of course. I'm totally against
What about the recognition of Israel? So they've not yet said whether they'll ever recognise Israel. How can they negotiate peace without recognising the State of Israel?
Everyone is in shock now, but once things settle, and in a very mature way, and the Europeans have said it yesterday that, and even the Israelis, that majority of the Israelis realize now that they will have to negotiate with Hamas. Hamas will, it's a destiny. They claim that they listen to the word of God or follow the book of God. If Hamas says they will comply and they will sign a peace treaty, when they do that with Israel, they will.
If they are true Muslims and read the book of God, they will have to negotiate a peace.
Of course.
Without guns, without the killing.
It's a totally, now they're talking about reality. Now they're in power. Now they're dealing with it day to day. Serving the people. They are in government. And I have a feeling if both sides are mature enough to sit down and discuss the most difficult points, this is one of the best periods that both Palestinians and Israelis will...
So you think good could come from this?
Good could come if dirty hands do not play on both sides.
Do you think they will ever really recognise this? Even if they give up the guns, will they ever recognise the right of Israel to exist?
They have to live with reality, of course.
And that's the reality?
Of course. I mean, how can... You can't say throw Israel in the ocean or in the sea. They will have to change. When you are in the opposition, you can throw words. But when you're in power, you have to achieve those words. And the words counts.
We talked about this before. Is it still the case that if the situation in Israel and the occupied territories between the Israelis and the Palestinians is not resolved peacefully, there will never be peace in this region? Quite apart from Iraq, Iran, the war on terror, until that situation is resolved, nothing else will be?
Yes. What worse could happen? This is the choice of the people. We believe in democracy. The West believes in democracy. Deal with it.
You're shocked by Hamas winning. Were you shocked by the change that Sharon introduced when he formed Kadima, when he said he's going to give back land, he wants to negotiate peace? Did that come as a shock?
Sharon is a very experienced, or was very experienced, and I think he also realized while he was in power that you're talking about 3 million or 4 million living in Palestine, 6 million in the world of Palestinians. What are they going to do with it?
Outnumbered.
Yes.
So he was being practical and realistic.
There's some kind of fear in the leadership in Israel to give the Palestinians anything.
In your eyes, again, as a moderate Muslim, Big difference between Hamas as resistance fighters who killed Israelis and Al-Qaeda, who are terrorists. How can so many people with so many points of view still regard themselves as Muslims doing Allah's will?
It's the way the people interpret the Quran. The Hamas way is that they've been attacked. Palestine, the Palestinians were living there. The Israelis terrorized them. That's Hamas' way of looking at it. Hamas is defending themselves, and Al-Qaeda is a young generation which have unfortunately supported by the West during the Russian invasion in Afghanistan.
Fighting with the Americans against the Russians.
Yes, they were heroes. They were heroes. But those young youth, suddenly from heroes and mujahideen, suddenly they're terrorists. They look at the West, that they control the Muslim world and they take everything. They're occupying through puppets, ruling in the Islamic world. This is the way they look at it. So they want to free the Muslim world.
By any means.
By any
including
means.
terrorism.
By any means.
Do you regard a man like Osama bin Laden as a true Muslim? If he's still alive? Or is he an aberration of Islam?
If you're asking me if he's sincere about his message and what he's doing, he wants to free the Muslim world. He's sincere in that. Is that right, what he's doing? In the religion of Islam, you have to refer to the scholars and the committee of scholars.
And he doesn't.
He made up his own mind. And Prophet Muhammad warned us, in the end of the time, there will be youth that will be very unexperienced and hyper. They would pray and they would read the Quran more than all of you. You would even look at them and say, I'm nothing compared to them. But they will cause a lot of problems to you because they do not fully understand the whole picture of the message of Prophet Muhammad.
In English we say lost the plot. He's lost the Islamic plot. He thinks what he's doing is right, but it's not.
He chose war.
Is he as much an enemy of Islam and of Muslims as he is of the West and America?
He's making the Muslims and the Islam looks very bad.
King Abdullah of Jordan says that moderate Muslims, devout but not extremist, politically extremist Muslims, don't speak up enough. Is that a big part of the problem?
You know why? Because the media have concentrated and went to those who have appointed themselves speakers in behalf of Islam. Who appointed them? They did. And then the media rushed to them.
So you're saying it's too hard for voices like yours to be heard?
Yes, because the media likes that exciting violence, and they've immediately, and they broadcast it daily to the rest of the world. Thank you, media. We hate each other. What's next? Can we hear from the 1,000 million real Muslims? And you're right. They should really speak up.
The Israeli elections are coming up next month. Whether Ariel Sharon lives or dies, his new centre party, Kadima, looks like winning government. But if the extremists in Israel got power, with Hamas in power in Palestine, where would that leave us?
In Al-Jabra, there's it says minus and minus gives plus, right?
Two minuses give plus.
Yes. So I think they both have tried everything.
Yeah.
and they both sides are kind of condemning each other, and but what they're actually saying,
We've had enough.
we've had enough. Let's find something. Can someone like come out with something that keeps our face? Do you know what I mean?
Safe
A solution.
face. Safe face.
Safe face.
But still find a solution.
Let's find a solution. People are suffering.
How do you describe a Muslim with your attitude, with your values, with your approach to this?
The best is to call it the true
True
Islam.
True Islam.
The true Islam. You're asking me a lot of political questions, and I'm not a political person. Remember, I'm a real estate person.
I know you are a real estate person. It's wonderful to talk to you again, my friend.
Thank you so much.
So you're the most politically aware real estate agent I've ever met.
Actually, I'd love to sell you an apartment.
I'm sure you could.